Hello everyone, welcome to PRP Coding YouTube channel. I am Raveendran Pillai. In this session, I shall explain how to consume a streaming web API in Angular. So let's start. I have created an Angular 17 project and it is opened in my VS Code editor. In the SRC app folder, it contains two components, app component and spinner component. Now let me open the app.component.ts file. This is a standalone component with the template URL set to app.component.html. In the app.component.html, it contains a simple div element with a h1 tag. Here I am using Bootstrap classes. For that, I have installed Bootstrap 5 in this project and it is configured in the angular.json file. Now in the angular.json file, here you can see that I have set the Bootstrap path to the styles array. In the app component, it contains a property title of type string, which is set to a value streaming-client. Then the API URL is a string property which is set to a streaming web API URL http localhost :5000/API/file/get-customer-stream. Here in this demo, I am using an ASP.NET Core streaming web API. If you want to know how to create a streaming web API, then I highly recommend you to watch my video on ASP.NET Core IAsyncEnumerable Web API. The link is shared in the description below. Then it contains a customer's property which is a type of customer array and it is set to an empty array. Now if I hover customer, here you can see that it is an interface. Now this customer is coming from the app folder. Here I have created a customer.ts. This is a customer interface with properties ID, first name, last name and country. Now let me run this application and see whether everything is working as expected. In the terminal window, run the command npm start. And here you can see that the app component is rendered in the browser and everything is working as expected. Okay, so now what I'm planning to do here is get the customer records from the streaming web API response and bind it to a Bootstrap table. But I don't want to bind the entire customer records in one shot. Rather, I would like to bind each customer record to Bootstrap table when a record is available. For that, I'm using a third-party JavaScript library named Oboe. Now, if I click on this package.json, here you can see that, let me scroll down. Here you can see that I have already installed the package Oboe. I have also installed the type definition for Oboe as well. Oboe is an open source JavaScript library for loading JSON data using streaming. Oboe makes it really easy to start using JSON from a response before the ajax request completes, or even if it never completes. Okay, so now let me write the code to get the customer records from the streaming web API. So in the ng on init, first let me create an Oboe configuration options object. So here I can say const options, which is of type oboe.options, and here I can set the properties, I can set the URL to this .api URL. So this is a streaming API URL, and set the method type as get. Okay. Now let me create an object of the Oboe. So here I can say const Oboe service, Oboe service is equal to Oboe, and here I can pass the options. Now let me let's quickly, let me quick fix, add import from Oboe. Yeah. Now the next step is to consume the streaming web API. For that I can use the node method of Oboe service. So here I can say Oboe service dot node. The Oboe service.node method is a utility for handling streaming JSON data. This library is often used in Angular projects to handle large amounts of data that need to be processed as they are received, rather than waiting for the entire data set to be downloaded. The node method is used to specify a pattern for nodes in the JSON data that we are interested in. When a node in the JSON data matches the pattern, the callback function is invoked. So here you can see that it is accepting two parameters. The first parameter is the pattern. If the pattern is matched, yes, then we have to pass a callback function. Now here I am going to set a pattern like this, exclamation dot star. So in this case, this pattern means that match all the nodes from the streaming web API. If it is matched, then invoke the callback function. So here I'm setting customer, and here I can say, let me set the loading property to false here. Okay, that means whenever we get the data from the streaming service, immediately set the loading to false. Then let me push this data to the customers array. Here I can say this dot customers dot push customer. That's it. So we have implemented the Oboe service in the app component.ts. Now we need to focus on the HTML part. Let's see that. Okay, so let me add a table here, table, and give a class is equal to table, which is a bootstrap class. Okay, and let me add the code here. So here I have created a t head with 4 headers, the ID which is shown as hash, then we have first name, last name, and country. Okay, then we have a empty t body. In the t body, all the rows are dynamically generated. We need to show an animated loading symbol as well as the customer records. Now, let me add the code for the animated loading. If the loading property is true, then add a row with prp-spinner. So, what is this prp-spinner? As I mentioned at the start of this video, there are two components in this project, app component and spinner component. So let me click on this explorer and open the spinner.component.ts. This is also a standalone component with the selector prp-spinner. Here I have used an inline template as the HTML is short. This HTML is styled with bootstrap class to show an animated loading symbol. This HTML code is taken from the official bootstrap website. Okay, so now let me add the code to display the customer records in the HTML table. For that, I am using the @for directive. You can say @for customer of customers track customer.id. Okay, and let me paste the code here. So here I have added a tr with 4 tds with values customer.id, customer.firstname, customer.lastname, and customer.country. Now, the table row is given a dynamic class based on the customer ID. If it is even, then the class is table-primary, else it is table-success. So the HTML part is also completed. In the app component, I need to import the spinner component as it is a standalone component. So here I need to import the spinner component. Okay, so now let me run the streaming web API project and the Angular project. The streaming web API project location is opened in the command prompt, and let me execute the command .NET run. And here you can see that the streaming web API project is listening in localhost port number 5000. Similarly, let me open the terminal window of the Angular project, okay, and run the command npm start. And here you can see that the customer records are getting loaded asynchronously. So let's wait, 9, 10 record, 11th record, 12, 13, 14, and 15. So we have successfully consumed a streaming web API endpoint in an Angular project. If you find this video helpful, then please like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and stay tuned for the next updates. Thank you.